So, when Arsenal traveled to the Vitality Stadium to face Bournemouth, well, on paper, it looks like a pretty straightforward Premier League match. But trust me, when you dig a little deeper, this isn't just about 3 points. It's a story that connects a tiny Basque youth team from 30 years ago with the entire future of a modern football club.
It's a weird question, right? But the answer, well, it shows you why this match has all these different layers. You've got personal history, on-pitch desperation, and some serious off-pitch strategy, all wrapped up in one. Let's start at the very beginning. That's how a former player described a small neighborhood club in San Sebastian called Antiguaco Quirol El Cartea. And believe it or not, this was the unlikely starting point for 2 kids who would end up managing in the biggest league in the world, Arsenal's Mikel Arteta and Bournemouth's Andoni Iraola. To really get the dynamic you're going to see in the dugout on match day, we have to go back, way back, 3 decades, to a small club in the Basque Country, where this whole journey began for these 2 managers.
Yeah, their journey together literally started on a bus trip to the Netherlands when they were just 12 years old. They played together, then they played against each other for Spain's youth teams, and then they went on these completely separate, really successful careers. And now, almost 30 years later, their paths have crossed again on the English South Coast.
And what's so fascinating is just how different they were even back then as kids. Teammates said Arteta was the obvious leader, super competitive, an extrovert, the one everyone knew was going to make it. Iraola, though, he was the opposite. Quieter, more thoughtful, academically brilliant. He was actually the one who kind of surprised people by getting into coaching.
Okay, so let's shift gears from the past to right now. Because on the pitch, the story is very, very different. This is a classic case of a team at the top of the form table versus a team right at the bottom. I mean, just look at that. The contrast in form is just night and day. Arsenal are absolutely flying. 4 wins and a draw in their last 5. Bournemouth, on the other hand, are in a serious slump, with 4 draws and a loss. On paper, this really does look like a mismatch.
But come on, football is never that simple, is it? Despite their terrible form this season, just look at the recent head-to-head. Bournemouth have actually won the last 2 games between these clubs. Now, Arsenal have never lost 3 in a row to them, but that recent history, it adds this really interesting layer of psychological pressure for both managers.
And this really drives home the scale of Bournemouth's struggle. It has been 10 Premier League matches since their last win, which was all the way back in October. You can just imagine the pressure building on Iraola's side to finally get a result. And of course, both teams are dealing with injuries. Arsenal are waiting to see about Declan Rice, who is just massive for them. Meanwhile, Bournemouth are missing their influential midfielder Tyler Adams. These kinds of absences could absolutely play a part in how this all turns out.
But you know, the biggest battle for Bournemouth might not even be happening on the pitch. The club's entire future is being debated in a place you would probably never expect, a local council meeting.
And this is where the story gets really interesting. The Bournemouth, Christian Stage, and Poole Council, let's just call it the BCP Council, they hold the key to the club's plans for growth. The thing is, the Vitality Stadium is one of the smallest in the Premier League, and if they want to compete long-term, they just have to expand.
The whole deal pretty much hinges on this key document called the Heads of Terms. Don't worry about the jargon. Essentially, it's just the blueprint for an agreement between the council and the club over the land around the stadium. And that land is absolutely crucial for any expansion to happen.
So, what's really important to get is that this council deal is about so much more than just a bigger stadium. We're talking about investment in the whole area, better facilities for everyone, fans and park visitors alike, and making sure the club can meet Premier League standards and stay competitive.
And this one line, right from the council report, it just gets to the very heart of it. This is the engine behind everything. For Bournemouth, staying up and growing in the Premier League, it really depends on getting this deal done.
Of course, no football story is ever complete without hearing from the most important people, the fans. So we took a look at a pre-match forum to kind of get a feel for the mood heading into the game.
So first, you've got the confident fan. They're looking purely at the data, right? 10 games without a win for Bournemouth? This should be a routine victory for a team fighting at the top of the table. Easy.
And then you get the total opposite. This is the nervous fan. This is the person who remembers that Bournemouth won the last 2 meetings. They know that in the Premier League, form can just go straight out the window, and that a struggling team fighting for its life can be the most dangerous opponent you'll face all season.
So, when you put it all together, the history, the current form, the ambitions for the future, this match suddenly becomes something, well, something a whole lot bigger.
You have these 3 totally separate narratives all colliding on one patch of grass.
You've got the personal reunion of two managers who started their journeys together as kids. You have the immediate super high-stakes battle for points that could define both of their seasons. And it's all happening against the backdrop of this massive off-field deal that will shape Bournemouth's future for years to come.
It really leaves you with a final thought. What actually decides a football match? Is it the deep-seated rivalry between two old friends? The cold, hard business of real estate and stadium deals? Or is it just the emotional roller coaster of what the fans are hoping for and fearing? The answer, as it always is in football, is never quite that simple.